I'm next to the litter box.
Yes, Chelsea's always placed in the
I mean, it's a nice litter box and it's a nice room. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, it's not that nice litter box. It's pretty basic, but
well, I just, I say I'm next to the litter box, and I think about like, where do people usually keep their litter box? And hopefully I don't like bathroom litter boxes.
I was just about to say that.
But like, I just was like, how would you visualize if someone's next to a litter box? And like, yeah, the bathroom is.
We're not in the bathroom.
It's wet.
Yeah, no, I do not want to step out of the shower and step onto litter. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I feel like we should start again.
No, that's funny.
Hey, Chelsea.
Oh, hey, Victoria.
You know what I need?
What?
Breath of fresh memory.
Me too.
All right, let's make a reservation for that.
Oh.
That's a movie I like to see.
Ding ding. Party one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know if I've ever worked at a restaurant with a hotel bell.
The
at the
hotel
front. I don't know why I was like ding ding.
Ding,
We
ding.
need a table.
This is a Breath of Fresh Movie, a weekly podcast where me, Victoria Harley,
And me, Chelsea Pope.
we watch a movie neither one of us has ever seen, and then we talk about it.
And ding 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 ding. Spoilers ahoy.
Yes.
We won't talk about everything. We might though, because we really liked this one. But we will, and that we're going to talk about anything. At any point.
And
Maybe even all at once.
Absolutely. And this week's episode is the 2022 black comedy, The Menu, directed by Mark, I think it's Millard. I mean, it could be Mylod, but that sounds really...
Millard.
That sounds
Millard.
like... I think it's Millard.
That's cool.
That sounds like Milord, you know?
We should just do this for 45
We'll cut
minutes.
this out. This week's episode is the 2022 black comedy, The Menu. This is a couple travels to an exclusive restaurant on an island and that gets the shock of their lives. Now, this is the point at which I turn to Chelsea and go, checkpoint, Chelsea.
Yes.
People should turn this off and go watch the movie at this point,
Yeah,
right?
try to go in. No, don't say raw. Don't say raw. Don't say raw. Go in blind. Don't say blind. Go, just go in fresh.
Like the pod.
Dig, exactly. Just if you haven't already been inundated with spoilers since it hit streaming, because I don't think a lot of people not as many people saw it in theaters. Not that I think it did bad, right? I don't know.
No, it did. It did good. I had a good opening weekend.
But yeah, it wasn't nearly as I think this is the same with any movie or show, even if it's been out for a while, and then it goes away for a while, and then it hits streaming, and then suddenly there's like a renewed conversation around it.
Yes, you're right.
Renewed discourse, renewed memes.
For all the people who didn't make it to the theater, it's and I you went to see it in the theater, and you told me right away, this is great, and I believed you, but I didn't act on it, and I do regret it because
it's hard to feel motivated at this time. It takes a lot for me to want to go see a movie. So I get
gamble.
that.
It's a gamble.
I think a lot of people would relate.
But my goodness, I think it was powerful, and I watched it, in like the worst circumstances. And by that I mean at my desk during work. And my boyfriend kept coming into the room and I kept pausing it. I don't want to ruin this for you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not... And
because it's good.
Because it's so good. And I kept...
That's very thoughtful of you.
I mean, but I was getting annoyed. I'm like, I need you to leave because I need to finish.
He was sabotaging himself.
Yeah, he was.
No, it sounds like
No, I can't have it because it's so good. I can't have that. So, and I've, it's funny because I think part of why maybe there haven't been a lot of spoilers out there is because I think people who like it don't want to ruin it. Yeah. And I've had the same kind of experience. I was just with a friend the other day and hasn't watched White Lotus yet. And they said everyone who has talked to them has refused to tell them anything about it because they want it to be pure for them.
Yeah.
That's how good something, like that's now the modern kind of marker of quality, I feel.
No, I don't want to spoil it. No spoilers.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Get off the boat now because we're going to the island.
Yes, we're going to the island.
There's no turning back.
There's no turning back.
Toot toot.
I think
the cast of this movie is really incredible. Good. I just want to rattle off some names before we get into our first impressions. We've got Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Janet McTeer, Hong Chow, Amy Carrero, Paul Edelstein, John Leguizamo, Judith Light, Rob Yang, Christina Brucato, Mark St. Cyr, Peter Gross, Arturo Castro, Reed Birney, Rebecca Kuhn, and Adam Alderks. Now, that's not everybody, but that's almost everybody, because this is such a intense. This is an ensemble,
right?
And you wouldn't know that from the marketing.
I guess, yeah, like the way I do like the poster though. Actually, I think it's a pretty good. It's a nice. It's not the full Avengers type of thing where everyone's piled on each other, but you get a sense that there's other people looking over their shoulders.
But I think one might not have expected to go in and like, because this is almost Altman like in the dialogue being overlapping. And the way that they captured the sound on set, it literally they mimic the exact method Altman used, which is like you have two sound recordists, one person who just focuses on the master dialogue, and someone else who's responsible for just getting a mix of the whole room. That way the actors are always mic'd, they're always all present on set. That
is a great thing for you to bring up, because restaurants are notoriously loud, especially ones with like vaulted ceilings like that, and just I remember thinking that as I was watching it the first time, like, wow, like it's so the noise control, this must be the insulation must be so expensive.
I mean,
like I'm trying to justify it, but I'm also like, it's just really good sound.
But there was something too about the way everything is heard, and not necessarily because they are so. It's their job to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like those. I've heard tell. I've never shopped at Barney's, but I hear tell that it's the salespeople. They'll find you
They have sonic hearing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
That's a great point. It's like
the service industry. You have to, right?
Yeah,
like you have to.
Yeah, and it's I've felt that as a server going around to tables. It's hard to, especially the louder of places, which you want it to be busy so you make money, but it's also like working. For instance, I worked briefly at or a little while at Bottega Louis, and it's a loud museum lobby like sound at all times.
There's so many places like that. Where
so you try to hear out things and it gets drowned out. I liked that in this film it's a quiet and no one's shouting or anything, and yet everyone can everyone
heard,
yeah.
And I think also there were just it allowed for improv. It's a squib or something. I mean, like there were all these like great little moments that I felt like just it helped with the authenticity of it. I also thought as I was watching it, it's just like a Chef's Table episode. And then I come to find out, because they literally hired the guy who did Chef's Table to come and like work on this film.
That's great. There's probably even, because I've never really watched that show, so I can only imagine how many even more Easter eggs and sort of callbacks to that there would be. Like
the second unit work, like the B-roll of like the waves and the oceans, and then the way that it was sort of segmented by course. I mean, I loved that. I loved the titles.
Yeah.
I loved the way that the film was like very actively structured in this like a course meal. So cool. There's just so much about it that is perfection, and I'm really I don't care about awards. They're good for people sometimes and all that. My God, this deserved to be recognized for so much more. The writing is fantastic. The performances are great. It's just, I mean, it takes place all almost in one setting. It's like it could have been a play, except no, it was a film. It was written to be a film, and it's fucking perfect and beautiful, and it uses all the elements, and I don't know. I liked it.
I think you liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah, my first impression, I'm going to say I agree that that's all. Yeah, just in the marketing, it was not. It was pushed, I think, more as like a lighter fare, I guess. Or I don't know. They didn't. I don't know if maybe there just wasn't a lot of confidence in pushing it for awards, or it just wasn't that kind of movie.
I don't know. I worry that maybe it got, and not that this is fair or unfair or whatever, but I think like maybe it was sold more as a horror thriller. And there's something about horror that's definitely not respected.
It's treated as a lower genre.
It's treated
that's
as
true,
trash.
And I can definitely see that playing some sort of role. Although there was a little recognition at the Golden Globes, right?
I think so.
Was it just Ralph Fiennes, or did they also?
I think it was Ralph. It was just the acting, I think. But that's a shame because the writing is really great.
I thought that the screen maybe not.
Maybe I didn't take a full list of that.
That's okay. But it definitely was one of the best movies I watched this year. Even thinking about all the Oscar contenders, it's like the menu of already rewatched it a couple times. Like, it's just good.
Well, the first time, I mean, I was really hooked up because I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I have no idea where this is going.
Yeah, I was like wondering at one point, and I like talking to other people about it too. Like, I think more people thought it was going to be like straight cannibalism at some point. Like,
I think that tension was in the room.
Yeah.
Like,
there's that implication of it. There's certainly consumption.
I think what's great is that it both doesn't literally do an eat the rich thing, but also like one is tempted to, I think, categorize it as that, but it's like it's more than that. This is about
it gets pretty close dressing them up as s'mores at the end. There is the it's a very on the nose metaphor. It's not, but they're not literally being cannibalized, but they are being.
That said,
they're prepped.
I really think though this is a movie that's more about the perversion of a value system.
Yeah.
Like, who's paying $12.50 and
$12.50 to get tortured and set on fire.
Well, I mean, even if it was just a high-end meal, it's like, what the fuck? You know? Like, I think the s'more, the way he says, somehow it's the worst of us. It's the processed foods. It's the thing.
I loved all those little speeches. Those were so good. That was like, one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great, fitting.
And he's talking about like, why is this associated with innocence? Again, the perversion of the value. Like, we should be protecting our children, giving them the purest things, but we give them this like.
It's very powerful, the analogies that are used.
Oh my God.
I respect and appreciate that. And it really does sell the idea that this chef is who he is for many reasons. He's a storyteller, but also I like that he himself gets called out, and there's no high and mighty depiction of the chef in that restaurant world and that restaurant's culture. It's dissected, thankfully, with an outside character that's acting as our eyes, our view into
Margot
this,
it's the vehicle for the audience.
Where the ethics where the ethics on both sides fall short.
And just like the comment on hospitality, excess, the cruelty, and
becoming the thing that you hate.
And the obsessiveness versus love. I also felt like it's such a cult thing with this, like, everybody lives together and only no one's allowed in the chef's house. Like, I'm like, oh, this is a fucking cult. Like, I'm like, holy shit.
Definitely a lot of like Midsommar, is it Midsommar? Whatever. It's a lot of scenes, a lot of just like shots that are reminiscent of that.
I mean, there's that
the music at the end too. Yes. It's a very sort of almost melancholy but uplifting kind of music.
Agreed.
Like it's
poetic. Bittersweet. It's bittersweet. And I think like the cabin where they cure the meats, they specifically mention it's a Nordic style. So it gives us that little Nordic cabin, and
so there's this shared
and everything around it is kind of style. So they
have the toilets out in the open, the latrines. It's very military. It reminded me of like
it's nuts,
an even worse version of like the cots in every war movie.
I mean it was they were living in like a Nissen hut, like a classic barracks situation.
We gel.
Some lines I really loved, which was, and this is a response to like, name something that, you had here. One dish, and it's like, cod. And, it was rare spotted halibut, you donkey,
That's great.
And he's like, well, what does it matter? He's like, it matters to the halibut.
Matters to the halibut, like, which is so silly to me too. It
is, but it's also like, you fail to appreciate like things died for you. He's like, it turns to shit in your gut. I see
both sides of it. You know what I mean?
Same,
like, I like that the movie did a great job of, he's right. Everything he says is not really wrong, but it's also like, calm down. The halibut had no thoughts, and then it got hunted, and that's...
It didn't have a lot going on.
Calm down. Yes, food gets digested. Everything turns to shit.
It does.
I don't know. There's a lot...
Maybe don't be in an art form where that happens.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, it's great. Then you have a character like Margot. It's not... I think it's so... It really makes this movie work that she gets... That she is... single, like, is able to get away, basically.
She's the last girl.
I think if it had gone the more pessimistic route where she didn't get away, that would have... I don't know if I'd want to talk about it.
No, I'm with you.
It would be it would be like a Haneke movie.
It would be a little more like Promising Young Woman, where it's like, ooh, that was good, but that was also
I don't know about that.
Hurtful. Okay, maybe not.
No, I didn't mean I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I meant my reaction with that watching that movie, and then you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that part.
That's right.
I don't know how I feel.
I mean, the line of the whole fucking movie is, "You will eat less than you deserve, or less than you desire, and more than you deserve." Of course, I fucked it up.
That's okay. That's leave it to the pros. Leave it to Hong Chow.
Honestly,
she's nominated for The Whale, but it's for this.
Yeah, no, she's incredible. I Know What a Bad Customer Is. He says that with such empathy, like that. It broke my heart. And finally, this is like This Is Sparta line. There are no substitutions at Hawthorne.
It's great.
And then he lowers the guy into the water.
Very, very classic.
I also thought the whole sous chef with the sexual harassment story was very powerful.
Yeah.
You know, that's so many women's experience who work in kitchens. I don't know. I thought that was great.
No, I think it's great too. I am trying to think to some of my favorite little quotes.
No, all good. I wrote them down because it was just like,
good. No, it's good. I was like, oh shit.
On second watch.
Let me go. I mean, starting at the top, I like the first reaction that Nicholas Holt's character has because he's playing the guy who, you know, the foodie guy. He's the foodie trope character, and he's like, it's laughable how good this is. Like, it's just so. Yeah. And the way they all describe their food. I mean, I love the transition of the food critic from being so disdainful about the emulsion being broken. She has to take off her glasses, and this shouldn't be happening. Not at a restaurant like this.
And yet, here it is.
Here it is. And the broken emulsion, ma'am. You're more broken emulsion for you, ma'am. Just everything Hong Chow did too. Just she has like such a control of her face and her delivery. It's not quite that Aubrey Plaza sarcasm. Like it's hers. Aubrey's feels biting in her, groundedness. But then you look at Hong Chow, and she's got a little bit of this she nails that hospitality. Like
that's just what I was thinking.
What you can get away with.
Yes, exactly.
And until of course, obviously they tip their hand partway through the movie, and it's going to be a bloodbath. But
she is routinely like, "Please be seated."
Yeah,
she's constantly
she does a great job
hospitalitizing the room.
And I love. Especially with the tech bros, because I've had to serve so many people like that, and they kind of treat you as a sideshow a little, and they want to make fun of you almost, or make fun of what like you kind of have to just stand there and so even when they're standing outside of the smokehouse. And they're like, whoa, would all hell break a day early? Would all hell break loose? And she's like, well, actually, the bacteria in your body and blah. So yes, actually,
enter the bloodstream and then enter your spinal column. And
there you go.
Renderance thereafter, you would soon expire.
So yes, all hell would break loose. But that's
good thing we're pros, huh?
I love it. No, the way she cuts the tension like that. It's so good. And then also too the Easter egg when you rewatch it, and she's like, we never burn anything unless by design.
To make delicious. Yeah.
Everything she says.
Oh no.
Tortillas deliciosas. And her face never really moves. It's always that same plastered.
Yeah. Like the whole I also
pleasant pseudo pleasantry.
Yeah, and I think it's not robotic, but the moment that Margot shows up and it's like,
no, her face.
You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, her face when she looks back and forth between I keep forgetting Nicholas Holt's character's name. Tyler. The way she looks back and forth between Tyler and Margot, and you see you see the it's especially because we don't know anything. You don't know anything going into the movie, but it's gonna. You probably have seen a trailer or have heard about whatever, and shit's gonna go south, and it's just like, oh, what.
Yeah.
What diabolical.
I also think there's something
treachery awaits.
Tremendously self-aware about the fact that this role was meant for Emma Stone, and here's Anya Taylor-Joy taking up another woman's place.
I love that.
That's
actually,
like really,
that's a good. I didn't pick up on that.
I mean, down to the place card.
You're not supposed to be.
You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
like, because that's the thing, right? It was Emma Stone
really
was
funny.
initially, and it does, as you said the other day, it really feels like they're cosplaying Emma Stone.
But also, okay, so yes, I do
that's not
feel
to
that.
dismiss.
No. I'm
That's-
glad
that's
you
a-
brought that up, because that is
that's
something that I thought about.
It's an aesthetic thing, not a
I think
acting thing.
No. I think Anya Taylor-Joy does a great job.
She's not bad.
Is it a role that it's I don't know. It's the type of character a lot of actresses would do a very good job playing, probably.
Yeah.
You know, and not even just Emma Stone. In fact, I don't know if that would be my next pick.
How about Hong Chow?
I mean, no, that's such a perfect role for her.
I know.
And I love it. She channeled a lot of that same energy when she was in Watchmen.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that character.
think
She just shows up with the genetically and the baby for the. Oh my god, that's crazy.
The character Elsa must have. It seems like I saw a little bit of like behind the scenes footage. It seemed like people adored her, like, because she would
Hong
go,
Chow?
yeah, because I mean, or just her performance of Elsa, like that
Yeah.
character, because she would just go to this place that was hysterical, but
She was so
solid.
funny. She's
Yeah,
like, I know who you are. And like everything's so. It almost a little bit reminds me of like a much more muted version of like if Marsha Brady, but like Christine Taylor's Marsha Brady is very. I've never heard of a George Glass. Like I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of that energy of
Totally.
like mean but sweet. Like,
yeah.
I don't
Again,
know. She did a great job.
that hospitality, the line that you can go up to, and just
Yeah.
like, so can we get some bread? No.
No, I know who you are.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. You work for Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my God.
good.
So good. I got to say that this whole thing originated when one of the writers, the screenwriters, Will Tracy, he went to this very exclusive restaurant, a dinner at Cornelius, I'm going to fuck this up, Sjelmats restaurant, which is in Norway outside Bergen. He literally took a boat to an island to go, and he said he watched the boat leave, and he just thought, what if something went wrong?
Yeah.
And then the idea for this is born. Also, you know, he, and we'll talk about his background a little bit more, but both he and the director are like, I'm not a foodie. I don't feel comfortable in these places.
Yeah.
So Margot being kind of like, yeah, I don't know what all this is about. Like, are we eating a Rolex?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of
Yeah.
line. Like, which I know was
That's
such
a
a
good
trailer
line.
line, but it was a good line.
No, but I like it. It's and I think,
Yeah.
she does good with, people, I don't know, people have been critical with Anya Taylor-Joy's performance in this. And I think she does
This is one of the
I
better
think she does a
things.
good job. And I don't
Yeah.
think but that being said, I think it's the kind of role that, not to say it doesn't require range or a certain ability, but I think there's a certain
Well, I mean, if
girl next door, but also like rough around the edges type of, why Emma Stone
Yeah.
would have been a good,
I mean,
good fit too.
Emma Stone, like, also though might be too.
I would
squeaky
almost
clean,
rather
like-
if Emma Stone like circa like 2013 or something, maybe like a
Yeah.
young, like more.
Yeah.
I almost think like she's too pretty. No, girl, you're too beautiful.
I mean, yeah, I think we had talked about this, and you mentioned something.
How dare
I
she?
think you
No,
used the
beautiful
phrase,
women can
Well, they can have,
do things.
They can have trouble too, but you said I think I would have liked to have seen somebody. I think you said more dead in the eyes,
A little, yeah,
just a little deader in the eyes, because
Yeah.
like it is. This whole
I want to see it's like just some eye bags a little bit, a little tired.
and just
Maybe
like
maybe a couple of regrettable tattoos.
yeah.
Am I talking about myself? I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think there was.
We need representation
well,
for tired girls.
And we didn't know right away that, Margot's actually a sex worker. And so the recognition Chef Slowick has of her as like a fellow service worker, that was the only part that I didn't quite believe,
No, she looked good. She looked very like
She looked like she was-
hipster chic. Like she
she
had
looked-
the boots, but then she had this really pretty silk dress. Like, I
Yeah,
think
it's like
I
a
don't think it's
lavender silk
Reformation, but
dress.
it's like it's some nice
Yeah.
brand dress.
Yeah.
It's
some good
but she has
jewelry.
taste.
Yeah.
She
has some good jewelry.
accessible fashion, but
Yeah.
tasteful, and then the
Yeah.
matching leather jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I loved the looks of all of the characters. Actually,
I mean, I thought just the pairings. Every table had an interesting dynamic going on.
They were caricatures, but it wasn't so in your. It was more. Well, definitely more nuanced than Glass Onion in terms of depictions of characters.
Yes.
But you also get these like John Leguizamo, which is like
he
a
was
great
so
type
good.
of like he leans into that self-insert quality of the character, but also with like the super tight vest and the shirt, you see he's got this density to him, or you see he fucked around with a little too much alcohol, or
he's
whatever.
Still trying to squeeze into this
his
life.
intern and the polka dot, like.
I mean, I really loved his performance so much, especially like, you know, when they all got chased off, you know, and she comes back and she's like, "How'd you do?" He's like, "Great. I was one of the ones that got away."
Yeah, I love it so much. It was very. I really actually felt for him. I did too, I know it's like he didn't appreciate the food, but he didn't seem like a bad guy.
No,
when
he
sees the tortillas, it's like, bad part, bad
Dr.
script.
Sunshine, or whatever.
Paging Dr. Sunshine is like, fun shoot,
bad script.
And it's a very good sense of humor.
No, it's like, and the fact that Slowick takes this one day off. It's sort of funny that he.
It was my one day off, and
that story is such a.
It's a nice reveal of how petty he actually
Yes.
Oh, in case you weren't clear about whether to admire this guy or not,
totally
no, he's crazy.
That said, I know that the director and Ralph Fiennes both agreed though that although yes, his behaviors are psychotic. Yes, he does do things that are criminal. However, this is a guy who's an artist who has suddenly woken up with this terrible realization that he's made it, but he regrets the sum of all his decisions.
Yeah,
and
mess.
Well, describing like
part of the mess.
Well, that was a whole interesting thing. I mean, we can talk about each dish, but like the many sacrifices, the mess being the body.
But these are the things he talks about during the mess. I mean, not that's but just exactly these ideas of like you give what you get nothing. Like at the end,
ultimately, people you will
the giving tree. But then like, what if the giving tree became self-aware and was like, bitch,
shit? Like, well, the idea that you give and work to please people you will never know. And who made the idea that like these people cannot be pleased.
Yeah.
And that he's lost his love or his interest or his fire for his own creative passion, which some people who, even this director is like, that's a feeling I could, relate to.
That happens in every artistic field and definitely in the food industry too. The more renowned, then you will always inevitably get a backlash of people like, it's overrated. Oh, this isn't really that good or whatever. Or you could go through a bad phase, and that's how you're only as good as your last great meal, your last meal.
Yeah.
Even with movies too. Like, I mean, I look at like the criticism. There's like a backlash to movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like if you peak too soon, you're gonna get in it. There's going to be like it's just a lot of like. Actually,
I grew up being contrarian.
Maybe that's a loose thing.
It was very useful. Yeah. But no, I agree. I think it's worth mentioning.
It's good to criticize. It's good to analyze.
It's good to question. Like, did I really like it? I'm like, yes, I did.
But it's good.
I know I did. Yeah. I know that the rocks together.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. There are people who think that's stupid though.
Well, they're stupid.
I agree. It's funny though, because this movie was so emotional for so many people, and then it's like the upset reaction of fans like myself, ourselves, and be like, "You're stupid." It was beautiful.
It was definitely silly, and I think, but the idea that like there were so many just moments and lines that were achingly beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Like in another life, I would have loved to have just done laundry and taxes with you. It's like, oh no, I'm crying in public. Anyway, back to this. By the way, before Mark Millard, I'm just gonna say it like that. Before he got the project, Alexander Payne was initially attached, which I think was interesting. The guy did Sideways.
I wonder if it would have been a little too like I don't know. I almost get a little bit of not full blown Wes Anderson like emotional detachment vibes, but a little bit with Alexander Payne like characters. Sometimes they seem to be a little
he kind of hates his
well,
characters.
This is absurd. Well, like they're like they're a little too self-aware.
Yeah.
In like a
no, you're right, and I felt like everyone in this.
I'm talking out of my ass. He's a great filmmaker.
No. Listen, he's great. But this is just it went this way. That's all I'm saying. And this director, how they spent the first week in rehearsals, and he, the idea of like we wanted to just make sure everyone knew what movie we were making, that we were all on the same page thematically, tonally. We all were making the same thing.
That's so important.
It really is.
I mean, I'm just a dumbass with a bad web series, but that's an important thing to do at every level of creation.
No, it absolutely is. I have a few production notes here that are kind of interesting. I mentioned this whole sound thing. You know, he went Altman style. He also made the cast. The Malad made the cast watch Luis Buñuel's Exterminating Angels. I guess that was a big inspiration point. Because
have you seen that?
I have not.
Should we put it on the list?
Of course, it's going on the list. I knew this was going to happen.
Is it old?
It's from the 60s. We haven't done enough. We haven't done any Buñuel, and
we should. We should. The broccoli's gonna go bad if we don't eat it. We should. we should get to that.
I just mean,
no, I'm sure it's great.
Hitchcock references Buñuel as like,
sure,
great, you know.
Yeah.
People like, you know, he's worth. We'll spend some time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the film was shot almost chronologically, which I think actually,
that's cool.
The people in the
that's cool. That's not normal, right?
It's not normal, but they're all on one setting.
Yeah.
And the beauty of being able to have your kitchen staff, who, by the way, were being played half by actors, but also half by real cooks.
Yeah.
So they were preparing the dishes that were coming out next during those scenes for the realism and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning, Dominique Crenn, the 3 Michelin star chef, was brought on as a food consultant, chef consultant.
I love that.
Oh my God.
No, you can tell this is a movie made by people who really understand how this industry works.
Yes.
Even just like the way they cast the kitchen staff, you know, most of them, they don't, you know, we never meet them, but we see them as this like tableau of
we meet like two of
the movement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we
Jeremy and
a couple of them,
what's
right?
Her name? The gal who was.
The gal who makes Man's Folly.
And who's like, oh, I was the one who pitched that one should die.
No, she's great.
Super proud of it.
I loved the casting for her because she she reminds. I just feel like I've worked with like so many like very like cute like blunt cut bang cut like that specific look, and she's very elbows, but like I mean this in a good way. There's this the way she moves her hands because. The other ladies are asking like why, like do we the whole dying thing, why do we have to do that? And then she's like, it doesn't work if you
menu doesn't work.
That just doesn't work. Otherwise it just tastes good and who cares?
It means, we leave and it means nothing.
It means she said otherwise it just tastes good. I was just like, oh, that's.
I do love how
I like that.
The Lillian, the critic, is like, well, this is fantastic. And she's like, there was a time when that would have meant a lot to me. And then she has like a little bit of a breakdown.
She has a little meltdown.
And
I like that almost turned into a moment where they were going to kind of maybe get some leeway.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is this going to be a girl power kind of movie?
Well, I loved that Margot was the first one to go,
yeah. And it's the emoji for me. That was a great line.
So good.
And it's delivered so grounded too, because like that girl didn't come off stupid, but it also was like,
didn't.
It was such a good indication of her just not having a clue or giving a shit about food. Just the emoji.
It's the emoji. I also love that actress when the men are all sent to run away.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo's character leaves his jacket with her. Mm-hmm. And then when they go back inside, she just drops the jacket. Like, well, fuck this. Like, I'm not carrying he's dead probably. Like, Dominique Crenn, like I said, was involved. The production designer, Ethan Tobin, worked closely with her. She looked at the script. They helped develop the dishes. They had she also had long conversations with Ralph Fiennes about, the psychology of it, how to run a kitchen, which I guess was really, he needed that.
He's really good.
He likes to do prep work, and he didn't feel like he was really there. And so,
he just basically played a cross between Voldemort and Ramses from Prince of Egypt. and I think he does a great job. I mean, all that prep work, that's like, I take it seriously, but also he's definitely not from Idaho.
He's definitely not from Idaho.
I mean, I like we can assume that he just adopted the culture so much that he developed an affect or whatever, people do that.
They do that. They shed their backgrounds. I just
watched Reese Witherspoon, she talked about how she had to lose her Southern accent, and she developed more of like a Valley accent to try to fit into roles more. Like, it's a thing that you do to adapt. But,
yes,
but it also was very fun. When I was in Idaho.
Yeah, I mean, like Stephen Colbert famously dropped his accent. And all that. Yeah. No, you're right. I think maybe not the most believable. I think Ralph Fiennes had the saddest eyes I've ever seen. Like that. There was so much going on in his expressions. Like although he had many speeches, they were always very terse and deliberate. He speaks with such intention.
Yeah.
I just thought a really great performance. I'm not a Fiennes fan necessarily. I mean, I'm not a hater, but
I'm neutral. I mean, well, I always think he does a great job.
This really upped it for me.
I just don't think he'd be nice to me.
You wouldn't be nice to any of us. I want him to like me.
I want him to like me.
I want him to like me.
That's so funny too, like on the meta levels. Like that's perfect casting of him.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult. I love him in
his approval.
The Great. I think he's fabulous.
He plays like great little douchebag. He kind of reminds me of like a Pete Campbell Mad Men type, like that sort of hapless, desperate person.
He's like not afraid to be vulnerable in this really ridiculous way.
Yes.
Like that is very
He's got it's like almost a Daffy Duck quality.
Yeah.
A little.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, him playing like Peter of Russia, like he's a czar, so he can just do whatever the fuck he wants anytime, and he knows it. And it's just wild to watch him live in this sort of medieval insanity.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. I love him. I love Nicholas Hoult.
No, he does a good job.
Very fun in this. And
you're being a child. You were acting like a baby. You're a child. I don't remember.
You're child.
Child.
Yeah.
You're being a child.
And I mean, I guess it's a credit to Margot being very good at her profession, but I really just presumed a level of intimacy. Like they seemed like a couple who kind of maybe had known each other for a few weeks, had been dating for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really pick up early on
that he had hired
her, because they seem to have some good, when she's like, please don't say mouthfeel, he kind of like smirks, like mouthfeel.
Like
he's being,
yeah,
and she laughs. Like, oh, that looks kind of jokey, flirty, cute.
But I kind of feel like it's like she's playing tennis with herself. He doesn't give a shit about her, is what we've come to realize, like at all. He's there for this experience. Anything he shares with her is for himself. Yeah, it's for him to be a dilettante and to, you know, talk about this, and he's got that, and I have one, and that's a thing. Oh, you don't do that, and like, don't smoke, it'll ruin your palate.
It makes me think of like what it must have been like, that hiring process, how like he came across her, his level of desperation. How last second, where did he meet her? Was it an escort service? Was it,
don't know,
you know,
there's a lot of mystery around that. But yeah, in watching it a second time, I really tried to study that very first, because the first scene is her lighting a cigarette. Like that's the first thing.
It'll ruin your palate, and
the last thing is her taking that wolfy bite into that. Oh,
yummy.
Fuck yeah.
That looked like a good burger.
Burn it down.
That looked like a good
Apparently,
burger.
Dominique Crenn taught everyone how to do that burger. Ralph Fiennes,
the smash burger?
He did all that. Ralph Fiennes did the whole thing on camera.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently the director's like, I can't cook, but now I know how to do this, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the food was, they took it, the phrase I think someone used was, the food had to be deadly serious because everything else was very funny.
Yeah.
And yes, Chef's Table.
Everything's taken very seriously. It's a really good comedies. No one's doing any winky stuff.
No one knows they're in a comedy.
Yeah, no one knows they're. I mean, you get like joking lines like, "Oh, I was the only one who got away," but he's saying it as a coping mechanism.
Yes.
Like you get the subtext there. Or even when Anya's she's doing her sassy quips before she really understands how
fucked everything is.
Yeah. Once she's got the 15-minute timer, she's not making wisecracks anymore.
No. And I liked they literally set a timer.
Yeah.
And I also, just to go back to that cheeseburger scene, I'm on reflection, the movie needed that break in the tension. Yeah. It was such a wonderful, like, part of why it felt so good. And it makes it hit
so hard.
Yeah, because the whole time you're just like, oh God, what is happening?
Well, yeah, it really is. It gets to, we're like at the 11 o'clock hour, quite literally. Yeah, and I'm thinking, she might not live. This might go. That's why I think of it like Haneke, because I'm like, in funny games that everybody, spoilers for fun. I fucking do not like funny games.
Spoilers ahoy.
But just that the idea of there being no way out, no winning. Mm-hmm. It was rigged against you from the start. But like that, when she tries to call for help, she had to fight. She had to like stab. She had to stab her way, and the gun gets the radio, and then and then you think that it's gonna.
Yeah.
Or that something might happen to this one guy. Because that was my other concern. I was like, oh, great. Are they going to like, he's just one guy. What if they like, you know, capture him or something? And then, oh, I'm sad too when the rescue ranger guy, he says he's a fan of Beijing Dr. Sunshine. I wanted that to be real because I loved the idea that right in front of the chef, there's
somebody
like
else.
this populist validation that it like just shows how out of touch chef is.
It was just salt in the wound.
Yeah, it was just sad. But I loved I was so in love with my own idea of the irony of that.
I thought I thought Judith Light deserves some attention.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about her yet.
We don't have to get into, there's not much to say other than just like
she does great.
She plays that. I mean, the way that the couple dynamic there, you know, it's like saw Perry the other day. You know?
Yeah, I like how she does the thing that it reminded me. Their table reminded me of that SNL sketch with Will Ferrell and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Anna Gasteyer, and they're the family just kind of pushing veggies around with their forks. And then
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
But it's just everything's like,
it's fine. What's that supposed to mean?
That just like I'm just waiting for something to erupt.
No, totally.
From the start. She's picking at the eat your rock. She says eat your rock at the. Anya Taylor-Joy's the one that says eat your rock, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I don't remember.
But there's a tension there that I mean, of course, we learn where that's coming from. But I just thought that moment at the end where.
That was great.
It's clear that Margot's gonna get out. She's got the burger to go,
and she turns
back for a minute to look at the others because it's like, oh God, can I
save these? Like it's the guilt, the survivor's guilt.
It's the survivor's guilt, even though she's fully justified to get the fuck out of there. But the way she looks across the room and the pan falls on Judith Light and she just gives her that little wave with her hand. Like it's just there was so much forgiveness.
Run, girl.
Yeah. That identification of like she could have been my daughter.
I think I love that, and also the message being sent of let yourself go, like like be like
look out
like
for you.
take care of number one. You're allowed to you're allowed to save your own life now.
And she kind of has been the whole time. But I think that moment, that pause, because I mean I think all throughout she keeps getting called into the kitchen and I'm like, I would be wanting to know what the fuck was that all about? Why is she, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, the angel wings on the.
Yeah. That leads me to, I'm taking the angel wings that you brought up to. You imagine all of the cult members in their bunks, like one's making the wings and then one's making, there's like, I'm making the marshmallow jackets, 8 down, like almost ready. Ooh, look at me I'm making the Rolo chocolate hats. Like,
those hats were chic.
Hey, what do you think? 8's like, hey Barry, can I measure the circumference of your head? I want to make sure, you have the biggest head here. I want to make sure they fit everybody.
There was a lot of prep work that went into that. Yeah, that's really funny.
They're just all like bonding and crafting for this.
This will be fun.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to die. Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, I found a bunch of really big rocks for the scallop plate, you guys.
Yeah. The tension of the lowering of the guy, like the angel investor into the water. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. For some reason, I thought he was going to get like pulled apart. That
was harder than the finger cutting scene for me to watch because of the way it just slowly, and no one can do anything.
No.
I was actually surprised. If I had been there, I would have at least closed my eyes and covered my ears. Like, I'm not going to watch this.
I thought also that was like a moment too that, okay, this is a publicly recognized figure who's being
that's
drowned.
Them being like, this
is real.
If this is
guy, real. Like, I mean, because the critics at one point think the acting is tremendous. Like when the guy gets his ring finger cut off, they're like, oh no, this is all for our benefit. Yeah. They're still trying to, like, a man has shot himself in the head. A whole bunch of shit has happened. They're like, no, it's theater. It's theater. It's what he does.
Also the effects, I want to say, especially with that scene of them watching this man with the wings, they weren't actually shoreside. That's blue screen, right? Or green screen or something that they're looking out at. Because really, really good.
I think
effects. So that looked
pretty sure.
That looked like a real view.
Yeah,
like it looked real.
It looked real. It also kind of reminded me of. I don't know if you're familiar with the stories around Bohemian Grove. It's like this, basically just like Republicans go and camp in the woods every summer at this place up in the redwoods.
Interesting.
Yeah, people would come together from like there's a famous photo of Reagan and Nixon and a bunch of other super powerful people.
Yeah. It's like a summit.
It's like a summit, but they have a lot of theater as part of it. Like it's a lot of rituals and bullshit.
You know, even the high-powered Republican politicians, you know, they want summer camp.
Yeah, and it's boys only. There's no women.
Only.
There's no women anywhere.
That's funny.
It's really dumb.
I'm laughing.
It's really actually dumb. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Harry Shearer not infiltrated it. He was invited as a performer, which is like, that's the only way a Jewish person would be invited there.
That's crazy.
And he was like, oh, it's just a bunch of people playing dress up, and it's just really pathetic, and you know, but
skills, but for Republicans.
Yes, exactly. What's the opposite of the Borscht Belt?
But yeah, that's
anyway, all this is to say, they do this whole thing over a lake at one point, and it just felt like that same kind of thing, the way that, you know, we got the Midsommar. I'm going to say Midsommar. I don't know why
I leaned into that when it first came out. I was like, it must be like Midsommar or something. But it's just Midsummer. Yeah. And I just can't help but say it the weird way every time. It's like there's another thing that I can't help but say weird. And I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But
and I think
epitome.
Yeah, epitome. Yeah.
Epitome.
I think there's a lot. I don't know. I started seeing backlash to this one, you know, this one, and people.
It's too good. Like people liked it too much,
and I find that absurd.
Now the people got to say they didn't.
I think this is a movie like
you're not invalid. You're just wrong.
This is a movie. All right, small brag. They're not big brags. They're just little brags. Yeah. I have a master's and I got it on scholarship. That's 2 brags. The third brag is that part of that scholarship was that I taught composition, like English 101 to freshmen, and you'd have them analyze something, and nobody wants to analyze, you know, a speech. So I'm like, go ahead, analyze this commercial or this movie. This movie would be great to make students analyze, because you could go in so many directions.
Oh yeah, this is very like an AP English movie.
Oh, between like the symbolism of the dishes.
If it was a book, this would be like the movie that they'd play in the classroom.
Well, because I mean, I got to thinking about how each course challenged kind of like a different bad behavior of customers, right? And I don't know. I just felt like there were all these the moments I'm thinking of service workers watching this and being like, yeah, fuck that guy. I hate when people do that. Like what you were just describing with the fucking bros and the way that
when they were just making fun, like with the smokehouse thing, which is like, it's one of those that one, they're not awful people for doing that, but when your job is so predominantly filled with this sort of like, you guys had to go and kill a chase down a pig in the back and kill it, and like just like people just doing, it's so many, and then you having a bad day, you're like, we did.
And you know what's fucking funny about that is like at the very beginning when they're on the boat, John Leguizamo comes on and makes these boat jokes.
Oh yeah,
and
she's like, steady,
and no one laughs.
Yeah,
he's like, boat jokes, and they're like, yeah, man, we are on a boat.
Yeah, douchey, like only insular to themselves kind of jokes, and because the jokes are, they think they're better than everyone, so it's just
and the way they reassured each
people,
other. Yeah, like, we'll see if they turn in, then that means this will be it. So we're fine. Yeah, we're fine. Like the way they enabled each other's stupid shit.
Their intro, I felt like, was the most on the nose, but in a palatable way. When they're like, no, of course it was my fault. No, we're fucking assholes. Yeah. We're pieces of shit.
Yeah, somebody shoot us.
Yeah, right.
Although part of me was like, God, I still fucking hate you.
No, but it's funny that they're that cavalier about it.
I know. And this whole like,
it works.
Yeah, and this restaurant, it's inspired by all those high-end things.
Yeah.
I just want to mention Noma, because literally I just saw a story today about how Noma closed.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
I never went.
And not me neither. But the headline was sort of positing the question that this movie was positing, which is like, can this really go on?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't sustainable, and people can, the perversion of the value system.
Yeah.
That we have fetishized things and made things luxury and exclusive, and I don't know. I think the obsessiveness that leads him down this path, I'm talking about the chef Slowick, but again, it feels sort of like, I don't know what it's like to be successful, but the thought that you can attain a level of success and have a new, I don't know, art is always in conflict with capitalism, right? Because the aims are just so different.
Sure.
And it feels so inescapable. And I think the aims of art are often diametrically opposed.
Sure.
So to me, it's like, yeah, you could say, oh, this is just the rich kind of movie, but I'm like, it's way more complex than that. And it's such a brutal reflection of where we are as a species, really. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I thought this was intelligent, fiercely funny, really well made, well shot. Yeah. There's so much talent and research and authenticity. I mean, they made the people working in the kitchen go through like a real boot camp of, you know, like how you run anyway. It was authentic. Yeah. Dominique Crenn was like, it was like we were opening a restaurant.
Right.
By the way, all that food, that prop food was very edible.
Yeah.
And not disgusting. So
very cool.
They actually, you know, got to really eat. They said we didn't have to break for lunch because the actors were just eating all day. Anyway, this premiered at the Toronto Film Festival in September of 2022. It was released November 18th, 2022. And Fox Searchlight, this is apparently the biggest release they've ever made for a film like this. It was like number 3 at the box office at the weekend it opened. It did pretty well. It's definitely made back its budget. And considering how much talent is involved, the budget was, you know, about $30 million, which by today's standards is like low average. Yeah. So I don't know. Again,
we could stand to have more movies like this that are in that kind of that mid budget.
It's crazy that's mid now though. Like you know, just thinking about Ishtar.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have some reviews to share with us?
People liked it. Of
course they did.
It was good. It has a 71% Metacritic score currently in the year of our Lord 2023. 7.2 out of 10 IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes, the 88% is the tomatometer with the critics. 76% audience score. So I think not everybody gets it.
I think those are people who never worked in service.
Plebeians. Philistines.
They just don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah. They don't know nothing. No, that's fine. Your opinions are valid, even if they're wrong.
I mean, I'd like to burn it. No.
Yeah. It's Wenlei Ma from news.com. I think it's Australian. The Menu is an atmospheric claustrophobic thriller with a killer ending, but manages to fall short in serving up a full course of deranged delights. It's interesting. Then another top critic from Cincinnati, some user, I think, I don't know. As much as I liked it, at the end of the day, it's not quite as smart as it thinks it is. Which is just like not anything we've been saying at all, like up to this point. I think it's quite good.
Quite good.
I think I don't know. I don't think it falls short. I think it's pretty good. I think it said what it needed to say. It got in and it got out.
I mean, it
moves quickly.
I was delighted that it take the experience of high-end dining and infuse horror into it. It was great.
It worked. Like I don't think we could have gotten.
And those
I don't think they could have drained any more juice out of that story without it feeling a little bit too long at that point for me.
And Chef Slowik is just a great character. I think a strong character to make everything work.
I just wonder in what ways did they feel that it had fallen short, or were they expecting more carnage? Because I don't know. I didn't know. I mean, I'm not going to read a full review. No, but I got it. The Letterboxd one's like, this is a very joke-able, a very memeable, tweetable movie. Mm-hmm. And got Brian with the 4 stars and a heart saying, Ray Fiennes served and Anya Taylor-Joy ate. And I liked that. Sorrowfully, babe, would you still like me if I was a s'more? Frowny face. This is girl Lily with 4 stars and a heart. This is a good like four to like, this is at least like for me like a solid 4-star movie. I think why it doesn't hit the full 5 stars for me. I wanted more, but I also appreciate getting in and out. You know, so it's like it's kind of a 2 sides. For all the nice things I'm saying, I was like, oh, I wanted more movie. But it's because I liked it. So I think it's like thinking about why I felt that way. It's not that I felt that the story was incomplete. I just wanted more movie because I really liked the movie. Yeah. And I guess maybe in a way I shouldn't punish it with a lower star rating. But it's a similar feeling I had a little bit with Zola.
Yeah.
And I had to reassess why I felt that way. I was like, I just wanted more movie, but it told the story it needed to tell.
Yeah.
And it was a complete
I think it's okay
movie.
to hold back a star. I think that
it's like that sense of I kind of get leaving a little like I wanted a little bit. I guess I was leaving a little hungry, but that's not to say I didn't thoroughly enjoy this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a big fan of movies that end really on the right, like the right moment. What is that? So prescriptive, but I like these to end a little earlier. There's a lot of times where I'm like, the movie should have ended soon. It should have ended there.
I actually do kind of feel that way about Everything Everywhere. I think it's like maybe like for me.
For you.
And this is another phenomenal movie. I hope it wins Best Picture.
Yeah, me too.
It was like 20 minutes more than I think I needed, maybe.
Yeah.
No,
I
think I'm the only person who feels that way. But, I don't know. Kudos to people who feel comfortable criticizing a popular thing, but not in a mean way. Not in a condescending or potentially even racist way.
Yeah. It ended where it needed to.
I think
like,
so.
I liked the last shot.
It was a complete arc. I think like adding another meal was like maybe not. Yeah, the last shot was good, and we got what we needed.
A part of me was like, oh, I almost like want to know how the world reacts to this shit.
But
it would be so unnecessary. And it would violate, I think, like what you're saying. I mean, it begins with them on the dock. And then they go to the island. It's
supposed to add to that claustrophobia of that you are just here in that moment.
There's no boat to leave on.
Yeah, I'll
call a helicopter.
Yeah.
That'll be difficult without phone service.
Yeah, they don't have there's no service, no nothing. And getting a sudden like I don't think it would have served.
Which hand will you be handling this with?
I think like even with Moon, because there's a little bit of that. I think it was just the right amount where it's just that in the voiceover, it's in the background, you hear the different things, and you don't really.
I feel like in Moon, you needed the comfort of knowing that some kind of justice was perhaps like that the secret was out.
I think it's that same thing with. I'm glad Margot got away. Like with Moon, similarly, like I'm glad to have the peace of mind that this,
Yeah. But it is kind of, I mean, this is part of the great thing about movies is when you're left with like, oh God, what spins out after that?
Sometimes the ambiguity is okay, and then sometimes you're like, it's so you fixate on it, and then it takes away from your enjoyment of the rest of the movie.
I mean,
for me, like, fixating on the.
I mean, let's pretend.
I need to believe in it, something definitive. I have to make a choice in my head about what I think.
Well, like, okay, she gets away, figures out how to pilot a boat.
Yeah.
But. Which that was the thing, right? It was like there was a boat to leave on.
There was a boat.
There was a boat. I also thought it was funny.
But it was the Rescue Rangers boat. I think that was the boat that came over.
Okay.
Unless the guy left afterwards, but I think he was part of the
posing.
I think he was just role playing, right?
Yeah.
I thought maybe that was his boat that brought the Rescue Ranger.
But anyway, if you got away, you go through this horrible experience and you get away. Like, what the fuck is that? Do you tell anybody, or do you just because you were anonymous in that situation?
I don't think she should. I don't think she would tell.
Do you think you just move the fuck on and like watch the news on the news? Maybe?
Yeah.
Like, do you?
I think she would. I mean, especially in light of her service. That too. I don't know now whether or not she would not still be brought to question or something because there's like fingerprints or anything like that,
a record or something,
whether or not she would eventually get traced down in some way, I don't know, but I do see it being a fitting that she would just kind of walk away fully scot-free. And that would be my ideal, is that she just like no one would ever know she was ever even there,
because she wasn't ever supposed to
be. She was never supposed to be there. She's not on any of the papers. She's not in any correspondence between Jeff and Tyler.
I like that.
Is it Jeff? No, not Jeff. Julian Slowick and Tyler.
And
I called him Jeff.
But no, what you just said about her getting completely away, like scot-free or unattached.
I think it's her. Yeah,
just she's got the trauma. I mean, she's not scot-free, but but
she can take it.
I mean,
she could take a little. What's one more? What's one more traumatic experience?
Right. I mean, she gave that guy a hand job.
She'll have her own cinematic universe like Benoit Blanc and Glass Onion. She's just going to keep getting into sticky situations as an escort and then
it's like
just
24.
making it out with her life.
It's like 24, but for an escort. I like it. Let's greenlight that.
I'm thinking like it's a new ensemble cast in a new high stakes eat the rich situation, and she's got to get out alive again. Oh, why do I keep letting weird people? Why do I keep taking jobs from weird rich people?
Oh no!
And then she gets away.
I think maybe we're
not again.
I think like the trailer for the Menu 2, which would be like the dessert.
Yeah. Well, they have s'mores. I'm like, tapas night. The Menu 2 tapas night.
Tapas night.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm all for sequels. Okay. Just really quick. Some other movies that came out at the same time. Black Panther was number 1 at the box office, followed by The Chosen, followed by The Menu, followed by Black Adam, and number 5, Ticket to Paradise. But other movies in the theaters: Banshees of Inisherin, Till, Bones and All, Triangle of Sadness, Tar, After Sun, and a heap of others. Because this is Oscar season.
Yes.
November. In our director's chair this week, we have Mark Millar. He was born in 1965 in the UK. That was the most I could find. I read somewhere that he flunked out of high school.
Good for him.
Good for you. He began in British television, moved into films. He did Ali G Into House. He did that movie, The Big White, and then a movie which I think has got Anna Faris in it called What's Your Number? It was like 2011.
Yeah.
And then he kind of disappointed himself. He decided, I want to take more interesting, bold choices. He wasn't happy with some of the things that he was associated with. And he decided he wouldn't take something unless, kind of scared him a little bit.
Yeah.
He then kind of falls into directing television in America, first with Entourage, both as a co-producer and a director. He directed the pilot for Shameless, the U.S. version. He also directed several episodes and co-executive produced.
That's great.
He directed some episodes of Once Upon a Time, the ABC series.
I love it. That's good. Well, I like the first season. I actually didn't really keep up after the first season.
Yeah.
First season's pretty good, though.
He might have done some of them. Who knows? He then went on to do the pilot for The Affair. Then did several episodes of Game of Thrones, which I think really solidified.
He's had quite the little roster.
Well, and finally, Succession, which he has directed several episodes, executive produced. He's also been awarded several Emmys for his work on the show. He just knows how to
make engaging television. He just knows how to make engaging, watchable content.
Yeah.
Sounds like he knows how to entertain the masses.
Yeah. He says, I look at characters not with disdain, but with curiosity as to what led them to that state of entitlement. I feel compassion for and connection with the characters.
And it shows. I don't think anyone is. I think the closest to people getting punched down sort of remorselessly is maybe the tech bros don't really get an unpacking. But then you even see that they're like, I think
they're just little boys.
They're just little boys. The happy birthday at the table. Now it seemed funny 3 hours ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so the Menu represents Millar's return to cinema, and welcome back. Because this was great. I don't know what else. I would love to know more about this guy, but all I can say is that if you enjoy the vibe of Succession, you might really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Who's your best supporting player?
I mean, Hong Chow.
Hong Chow. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
No contest. There's a lot of great,
but
it's
everyone
an ensemble.
Does great. I mean, everyone's really, really well cast in this.
It's just that she has the largest supporting role. She has.
It's another one of the situations you almost don't want to say.
I almost don't want to say supporting.
It's kind of like with Sarah Bernhardt in the King of Comedy, where you're like, it's such a big role.
A lot.
Such a big role. I don't think it's even fair to call it supporting.
And it's an ensemble cast,
so they're kind of all integral.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Margot and Chef Slowick are kind of.
They're kind of the main opposition back and forth, tete-a-tete.
Yeah, and Tyler is just sort of the one who's closest to
the
her.
Next one
so
up,
God, when he broke that glass of wine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God,
what a slob.
What a
He's
slob.
He's being so annoying.
He was
And then when
awful.
they were like, no pictures
and
in
he's
the
just
first
taking
dig,
fucking pictures.
Which is funny too, because he knew he was going to die. So I'm like, he's just hoping they'll get.
Right.
They're just going to.
That was a little bit.
That was weird.
That was weird, actually.
Yeah. It's like, but he just can't. He seems to just not be able to help himself.
Well, which is kind of the theme. And I thought the moment of make this fucker cook and see how hard it is.
Yeah.
You know, like that felt like such a moment.
It was so
of like,
pathetic.
but when somebody, you know, is being a shit at a restaurant and it's like, I'd like to see you try.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that.
No,
like,
that happens
literally.
so often.
And this literally, they made him try.
Yeah.
Like we watched you try. And
I'm not gonna lie. I would eat a shallot and leak lamb shank dish. Yeah, I would eat it if it was prepared. If it was with a few more seasonings, it would be delicious.
Slowick was such a bitch. Like with the whole
it was actually quite bad.
But just also like introducing us to a chopping method and that we were unaware of until now.
He's so mean.
He's so mean. And then like gets him to hang himself. Like, which I mean, at that point we know that he deserves it. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, for him to hire an escort to murder her,
for her to die.
You know?
No, I mean it was the ultimate comment on her inhumanity to him.
Yeah, like the way to kill a hooker. You're disposable. Like that. It was a very He's a low rent version of American Psycho, Patrick Bateman vibes. It's just like I hired you, you're disposable.
Yeah. His he was so self-obsessed. Good stuff. I would ask you if you'd watch this again, but I already know you have.
Indeed.
And I've watched it more than once now. So go watch it.
Yeah.
Go watch it,
It's on. Yeah, enjoy.
I was going to say assholes. Go watch it, you donkey.
You go watch it, you donkeys.
You donkeys.
That was great.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh
my God, the way he taco.
It's the blinking he does after. Is like, I hated those.
Yeah. Also, like, am I getting bergamot? Yes. Eye roll.
Yeah. That was a funny moment that was in the trailer. I liked.
It was.
Where it's like all this, we're going to die tonight. Yes. Blah, blah, blah.
God, that fucking guy, the Ted, I feel like, and it was something about, I mean, his performance was great because I hated him so much. Yeah. Like the way we're enjoying his culinary biome, you know?
Yeah. We're eating the ocean is what she said.
It's thalassic.
Yeah, thalassic.
Yeah, oceanic. Right, of course. And it's like I mean, just the definition of dilettantes.
Yeah.
And the way he is such a yes man to her.
And when she's like, I make my own yeast out of apples, she's like, oh, you
wicked thing.
You wicked thing.
You wicked thing. And like, you know, just like, what's the obsession with snow? He's like, I don't know. Officially an epidemic and no one is safe. Like, he just bolsters everything she says.
It reminds me of very Sex in the City, like quippy banter where it's like one of the girls will say something and then Carrie's like, and now it's a weird little bit. Like, you know?
And I know we've like wrapped, but I mean, just the overhearing all of that shit, the way people are merciless, like the behavior. I mean, I don't go out to eat with people if they behave that way. Like, you know, I'm like, no, I don't. That's disgusting to me. Like, you don't treat people. And also, like, you're in a restaurant. I mean, when I was younger, I was definitely a picky eater, like a lot of kids are.
Yeah.
But at some point, I got over that, and I kind of, like, embraced the alternative, which is, like, no, they put together a dish.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
It's just a disrespectful, like, to be that loud about it. It's one thing if you don't, you know, you don't like it, you send it back or something. Yeah. But then the performative disgust, when I keep fixating on the glasses having to come out, like, does that really? You're being so dramatic right now. And people do that in restaurants. You know, most restaurants I've been at where there's been at some point there's been a reaction. I mean, I've worked at like obvious low status like Fred 62. You shouldn't expect, like, what did you expect? And the people will react that way, like with such disdain and horror that something doesn't look the way they want it to look, even though it's perfectly fine. I don't know. It's just
Lillian and Ted were pretty awful. They were the
great casting,
the perfect New York asshole dilettantes. Although
I love her look with the purple hair, and I actually liked her look a lot, but also was like, it's just fun. Like there's showmanship to her. She's her aesthetics are very important.
And, she's so arrogant. And like the God, everything that comes out of her mouth is so frustrating to listen to.
Yeah.
Anything he says, she will disagree with. And anything she says, he will agree with. So, like, it's okay. We're going to be okay. No, we're going to die tonight. Yeah, we're going to die. Yeah. Like, and when they find him in the chicken coop and give him that little dessert
really funny.
for the last one, and he just is like, in takes. I mean, how can you mistake this for anything other than a dark comedy?
Yeah.
At moments like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it works really well. You know, if it's not your taste, I guess that's one thing.
That's fine.
You know, if you're really hung up on feeling like it's incomplete in some way, I think it's just concise.
I think it's good.
I mean, I still knocked a star because I did want more movie, but it's a full movie.
Yeah, right. I think the 5th star is the elusive, ephemeral. It's something
that's only for movies like Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, Clue.
It's those movies that
Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah, those movies that light you up from the inside.
Oh yeah, that's a full
Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah,
that's like
that's
5
a
stars.
complete
perfect movie.
Perfect movie.
Not a thing wrong with that movie. Okay, anyway, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. I mean that. I really do.
Yeah. She's being sincere.
I am.
She didn't blink a bunch. She didn't just blink a bunch.
I blunk a lot.
She blinked it.
I blinked.
I blunked out of school.
Yeah. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at freshmoviepod, or send us an email. We love email. I know it's tough to write, you know.
Yeah, I don't really, I'm afraid of my email.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, if we get a P.O. box, we could ask people to write in snail mail style. See ya.